I'll begin with the peach through the eye of the needle. The peach is a belly dancer's fruit. It too has a navel eye for seeing the world through the skin. Rounded buttocks, good to place against the hand, the way earth reminds flesh of its being. Through the eye of the needle, death is a country where people wonder and worry what it's like to live. The sullen wish to live and be done with death. And the happy want to stay dead forever, wondering, will it hurt to live? And is there death after death? So poking out my third eye, it's always viewing things objectively, from above and afar, making me think incessantly when I want to rest and merely to enjoy, forever finding words to turn every human fart into some sort of art. It never closes its lid. In fact, it has no lid. It stares in the night like a frightened kid. It watches everything with nocturnal sight, sees things that aren't visible, as if it were a lighthouse in the fog, always pointing and waiting for ships, things, symbols, allegories, narratives, aphorisms, philosophies to come sailing in on its beam. I want to poke that mid-forehead culprit right out of its missing socket. It tires me terribly when I simply want to enjoy living with two eyes open and sometimes shut. My third eye is stuck in a rut. I don't want it always snooping around, bugging me out with stories too symbolic. I don't want to think about making a crafty stink. It makes me comment on daffodils as if they came out of a Wordsworth's poem, instead of knowing he put them in because his third eye was bugging him. It's always seeing a seagull as freedom, chirping birds as poets singing, clouds full of smog, all pink and blue at sunset as signs of climate crisis, a young skinny woman with purple hair as self-destructive, the rings in her nose as anger at her parents, truth and beauty as a rose. This poem cost me $60 to write because I lost my new leather gloves on the subway, blinded by my third eye. Now my hands are cold. I feel too old. I want to sit. My third eye makes my two eyes blind with satire. Very unkind. If only it were situated in my behind. O anus, through the centuries. Yes, O anus, through the centuries. For Chan Tzu, famed Taoist philosopher, who said, according to Lao Tzu, I wonder if cosmically an idea is any more important than the bowels. O anus, through the centuries, men have smuggled diamonds in you and dope. Some have written odes to your sensational glories, but I've never wanted more from you than a comfortable passage of the wasted fuel of my life, as death, the exquisite trapdoor, opens for the fall through eternity. Exit from life, light into darkness, contrast, perception, resurrection. The iris of the eye opens as you, the flower of the body. The flower in the eye opens to let in sight, and you, the flower of the body, to let out shit. And from sight, from shit, comes flowers, most awesome as they bloom themselves to death. Unfinished autobiography for my daughter, written in 1994 during the first Gulf War. I was born in 1941. The sky was falling. The chairs of state were arranging themselves in military isms of mass murder. I learned to speak by holding an apple, rolling its crimson shine in baby fingers, because my mother's smile offered a red toy to the table of my high chair in that Newark kitchen of new wintry mornings, bright leaves at frosty windows, just met for the first time, autumn sunlight, warm hands, God bless mommy, God bless daddy, God bless spaghetti. I chortled up to the big people around my crib. When they laughed, I learned I had a pen for a tongue that could please them. Meantime, bombs were blitzing, Jewish, Polish, Romani, homosexual, human flesh sizzled in Hitler's ovens, lampshades of human skin, gold teeth manufactured into wedding rings. Are you wearing one? Has your gold ring come from a mother's mouth, filled with poison gas in the chamber where menstrual blood stained her thighs, bereft of clothes, as she held her child to her breasts? Empathy is my favorite word. My peasant mother, war orphaned, my lame Italian father, greenhorn Guinea they called him, Guinea Gimp they shouted, as he sold newspapers for the state education of the poet he gave to me, raising me in the ghetto of Newark to speak good English, where the worst horror then was when a boy named Herbie chased me down the alley, cornering me, sticking his mouth in my tongue, choking me with belligerent sex as the others laughed. Herbie French kissed Daniela, a grand joke of the ghetto kids. Nothing more frightening happened until in 1961, I helped to integrate WSLA-TV, a white journalist on an all-black gospel show announcing freedom rides and sit-ins, not out of bravery, but out of idealistic naivete. 20 at Virginal, when raped one midnight in a jail cell by an angry Klansman, deputy sheriff of Montgomery County, Alabama, only law for miles around Selma. Somewhere in between then and then, I met a book full of rotting corpses of mutilated bodies on battlefields or in prison camps, agonized faces distorted by screams, breasts impaled on bayonets, and all my orgasms ever since have been cries of letting go, of gaping mouths and skulls robbed of gold-filled teeth. I'm a Jersey girl whose mother was part Polish war orphan, part Jew, whose father was a Greek, Albanian, Italian immigrant. I'm the daughter of a lame, quote, Guinea Gimp, who was a poet dying of the word empathy. He carried it on his back and taught me Shakespeare's English. He said I was too pretty for my own good and read me Yeats' prayer for his daughter. And now, menopausal insomniac, I don't care about books. My greatest moment of joy came in near death, when jailed by not when jailed by the Klansmen, but when giving birth to you who came by emergency cesarean, bright with hope, lovely daughter. Do you hear the ambulance siren of guilt grieving in your near-death birth? The rebirth of your mother, your moment of almost not being, new life greeting me in your eyes, my eyes, peering back at me, questioning after the fever subdued. Here's your crimson apple of being, daughter, amidst new wars and books always repeating themselves, like autumn where death turns to beauty in windy sighs of dying leaves, singing hypocritical histories, hand on reborn hand, murdered and bleached to bones or held warm or cold. Old, I can't sleep well anymore. I grow fat eating love. I remember thrills of my childhood autumns when the maples sang with sparrows outside windows and the kitchen was warm as apples turn crimson in pale hands. Sanguine color, simply being, before I found the book of corpses from slave ships, battlefields, ovens. Oh, now I take you, daughter, to the woods to meet the scarlet maples, feed the wild deer, crush the leaves and acorns with your steps, dance in the moonlight. Your mother is no orphan like hers was. Your father is not lame like mine was. But the earth, our mother, and all her creatures swirl in clouds of gas, garbage, greed, the language of oppression, quote, nigger, Polak, Guinea, Nick, Kike, Jap, Kraut, Wasp, Kink, Gook, Dyke, Fag, Spick. Washington confronted its manufactured butcher of Baghdad as, quote, sand niggers were decried on Wall Street where banks collapsed in graft. A tenuous thread of life secretes onto the page as my eyes become someone else's. Are they yours, daughter? I edited a book on prejudice, a global perspective of xenophobia, ethnocentrism, sexism, racism, and hate the nuclear and oil barons who are your enemy. We cannot live without enemies who bond us together in love, Freud said, unless we see that avarice pours our own garbage and debris back upon us, smothering us with mutual enemy. Our oil, nuclear, chemical, and germ warfare profiteers hold us all hostage, you, me, and them, to the screams of skulls with their forever gold teeth, lampshades of human skin. Their ears are ours, filled with a siren of guilt from the history book of corpses. It talks to autumn, daughter. It says, empathize. Because we all die to live, eat, see, and hold our crimson apple. Its beauty, its splendor, makes us sing. The sign of the cross for Gertrude Stein. Because of the cat's eye marble of your passion, you old sage of roses, I slap my hand on your big rump, you old word whore. You discovered the secrets of your body only to keep them silent to the grave. You contemporary of my late Italian grandmother, whose cadaver appears before me in my dreams, her clitoris gleaming like a ruby jewel. Grandma who gave birth to 20 children alone in her bed, her own midwife. Grandma who never knew the numbing power of orgasmic potency, pool of cosmic energy for the tormented body. For you, Grandma, and for you, old Gertrude, for all the women who were buried in their living bodies, hiding sexual hysteria from doctors who performed surreptitious clitorectomies, so men might go on supreme through their thrusting centuries. For you, reign of the womb, spindle of Aphrodite, bud of Venus, tree of Daphne, moon of Diana, I chant the song of the three tender buttons, the song of the Trinity. The nipple, the clitoris, and the Holy Ghost is the mother of us all. For a longing so complete. Talking with you, my dead love, I'm glad I married quarrelsome you. Without you, I'd have simmered to silence, alienated, impractical, easily taken for a ride to nowhere or hell. Thank you for having loved me amidst the chaos of burning animals, consuming life. Your cynical wit saved me from my untamed passions. You said, enchanted you, I loved you more than I knew, though I can't tell you now, all ashes. You're gone beyond lips, eyes, hands, touch, except in my grieving heart, your voice, your face, a fading sound and image in ravenous time, eating my memory of you. There's no longing so complete as the desire to talk with the dead. So, talk with each other while you can.